Throughout history, humanity has been shaped not just by loyalty and courage, but also by acts of betrayal that have changed the course of nations. Today, we're exploring some of the most shocking betrayals ever recorded, moments where trust was shattered and destinies rewritten. These are not simple disagreements, but profound breaches of trust that echo through time. From whispered conspiracies to public acts of treason, these stories reveal the dark side of human ambition and fear. We'll examine the motives, the methods, and the far-reaching consequences of these infamous acts. Join me as we journey into the heart of human darkness and discover the high price of broken loyalty. If you find these stories compelling, consider subscribing and liking this video to help us share more hidden histories. Our journey begins in ancient Judea, where a trusted disciple's kiss became the ultimate symbol of betrayal. Jesus of Nazareth, surrounded by 12 loyal followers, placed his trust in Judas Iscariot. Yet within this circle, Judas's loyalty faltered. Was it greed, disillusionment, or something deeper? In the quiet Garden of Gethsemane, Judas led temple guards to Jesus, identifying him with a kiss, a gesture twisted into a signal of doom. The authorities seized Jesus, setting in motion his trial and crucifixion. Judas's name became synonymous with treachery. His remorse and tragic end a testament to the torment that follows betrayal. The story of Judas is an archetype of how trust can be shattered from within. Betrayal often comes from those we least expect. Judas's act is a stark reminder that the seeds of betrayal can grow in any group. The consequences of that single kiss still resonate, a symbol of the enduring danger of broken trust. In every age, the story of Judas Iscariot warns us. The greatest threats often come from within. His legacy is a cautionary tale about the fragility of loyalty and the devastating cost of its loss. It's a story that endures because it speaks to the very core of what it means to trust, and to be betrayed. And so, the name Judas remains a byword for treachery, echoing through the centuries. Next, we journey to ancient Rome, where power and loyalty clashed in a deadly conspiracy against Julius Caesar. Many senators saw Caesar at the height of his power as a threat. Among the conspirators was Marcus Brutus, a man Caesar trusted. Brutus faced an internal struggle between loyalty and duty to Rome. On the Ides of March, 44 BC, Caesar entered the Senate, unaware of the ambush. The conspirators struck, and when Caesar saw Brutus, his resistance crumbled. Et tu, Brute? Words immortalized by Shakespeare captured the agony of betrayal. Instead of saving the Republic, Caesar's assassination plunged Rome into chaos. The betrayal of Caesar by Brutus remains a timeless lesson. The Ides of March endures as a symbol of how betrayal can reshape nations. It reminds us that the greatest dangers often come from those closest to power. The story of Caesar and Brutus is a cautionary tale about trust and the consequences of treachery. In the end, their actions changed Rome forever. The Ides of March, a date forever linked to political treason. Across the Atlantic, the American Revolution produced its own infamous traitor, Benedict Arnold. Once a celebrated hero, Arnold's bravery and sacrifice were overshadowed by growing resentment and ambition. Passed over for promotion and burdened by debt, Arnold's disillusionment deepened after marrying Peggy Shippen, who had loyalist ties. Secretly, Arnold began corresponding with the British, convinced his fortunes lay with the crown. His plan surrendered the strategic fortress of West Point to the enemy, a move that could have ended the revolution. The plot unraveled when British Major John Andre was captured with incriminating documents. Arnold fled, barely escaping capture by his former commander, George Washington. Once a hero, Arnold became America's most reviled traitor, his name forever linked to treason. He lived out his days in exile, distrusted by both sides, a man without a country. Arnold's story is a complex tale of ambition, pride, and the corrosive power of perceived injustice. His betrayal reminds us that even the noblest causes are vulnerable to personal ambition. The failed plot at West Point stands as a stark warning. The seeds of treason can grow in the soil of resentment. Arnold's legacy is not his early victories, but the enduring infamy of his betrayal. In the American consciousness, his name is a permanent synonym for traitor. The story of Benedict Arnold is a reminder that the line between hero and villain can be perilously thin. Even in the fight for freedom, loyalty can be undone by ambition and disillusionment. In late 19th century France, betrayal came not from an individual, but from an institution. Captain Alfred Dreyfus, a Jewish officer, was falsely accused of espionage by a military desperate to protect its reputation. Prejudice and flimsy evidence led to his conviction, despite a lack of credible proof. Dreyfus was publicly humiliated, stripped of his rank, and exiled to Devil's Island. His family and supporters fought tirelessly to prove his innocence, sparking a national crisis. The writer Émile Zola's J'accuse exposed the cover-up, dividing France between those seeking justice and those defending the army. The real traitor was eventually identified, but the military refused to admit its error. Years later, Dreyfus was exonerated and reinstated, but the scars remained. The Dreyfus affair revealed the dangers of institutional betrayal and the destructive power of prejudice. It showed how an entire system can turn on one of its own to protect itself. Dreyfus's ordeal became a rallying point for justice and civil rights. His story is a warning of how easily truth can be sacrificed for expedience. The affair left a lasting mark on France, exposing the peril of betraying the very ideals a nation claims to uphold. In 17th century England, religious persecution fueled one of history's most audacious plots, the Gunpowder Plot. Catholic conspirators led by Robert Catesby sought to blow up Parliament and assassinate King James I. Their plan: ignite 36 barrels of gunpowder beneath the House of Lords during the state opening. Guy Fawkes, the explosives expert, was tasked with lighting the fuse. As the day approached, doubts grew. Some conspirators feared for innocent lives, including fellow Catholics. An anonymous letter warned Lord Monteagle to avoid Parliament, triggering a search. Fawkes was discovered in the cellar, arrested and tortured until he revealed the plot. The conspirators were hunted down. Those captured faced brutal executions. The failed plot led to harsher laws against Catholics and became a defining moment in British history. November 5th is still marked by bonfires and fireworks. Guy Fawkes Night, a celebration of the plot's failure. The Gunpowder Plot is a story of faith, desperation, and the fatal consequences of betrayal from within. It shows how a single act of conscience can unravel even the most secretive conspiracies. The legacy of Guy Fawkes endures as a symbol of rebellion, and the high price of treason. The plot's failure reshaped England's religious and political landscape. It remains a powerful reminder of how betrayal can change the course of a nation. The echoes of that night still burn bright in British memory. In the shadow of the Holocaust, the story of Anne Frank stands as a haunting example of betrayal's devastating cost. The Frank family, along with others, hid for over 2 years in a secret annex in Amsterdam, relying on the courage and secrecy of trusted friends. Anne's diary captured the hopes and fears of those in hiding, even as danger loomed outside. On August 4, 1944, their refuge was shattered. Nazi officers arrived, guided by a tip that remains a mystery. The betrayer's identity is still debated: a blackmailer, a former associate, or a stranger seeking reward. The consequences were tragic. The annex's residents were arrested and deported. Anne and her sister Margot died in Bergen-Belsen just weeks before liberation. Only Otto Frank survived, later publishing Anne's diary, a testament to resilience and hope. The betrayal that doomed the annex is a microcosm of the era's wider treacheries. It was a quiet act with catastrophic results, sealing the fate of 8 innocent people. Anne's story personalizes the incomprehensible scale of the Holocaust. The anonymous tip reminds us that history's greatest tragedies often hinge on small, cowardly acts. The betrayal of Anne Frank is a chilling reminder of the dangers of fear, prejudice, and indifference. Her diary endures, giving voice to millions silenced by betrayal. In remembering Anne, we confront the consequences of trust broken in humanity's darkest hour. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 was the climax of a series of betrayals, of ideology, alliances, and authority. East Germany, propped up by Soviet power, relied on loyalty enforced by fear and surveillance. But as the Soviet Union signaled retreat, the old order began to crumble. Hungary's decision to open its border with Austria allowed thousands of East Germans to escape, undermining the regime. Protests erupted, and the government, abandoned by its Soviet patrons and its own people, teetered on collapse. The final blow came from within. A confused official, Günter Schabowski, mistakenly announced new travel freedoms, effective immediately. Crowds surged to the wall, and border guards left without orders chose not to fire but to open the gates. In that moment, the wall fell, not by decree, but by a cascade of betrayals and a collective yearning for freedom. The collapse was not a single act but the result of shifting loyalties and the courage of ordinary people. The Berlin Wall's fall marked the end of an era of division and oppression. It showed that even the most rigid systems can be undone from within. The story is a testament to the power of hope, and the inevitability of change when trust in authority is lost. The wall's destruction was a victory for unity, born from the cracks of betrayal. It remains a symbol of how systems built on fear can collapse in a single euphoric night. The fall of the Berlin Wall is a reminder even the strongest barriers cannot withstand the force of broken trust. From ancient gardens to modern revolutions, history is shaped by moments when trust is shattered. These stories reveal how ambition, fear, and ideology can drive betrayal, with consequences far beyond what the betrayer imagines. The names Judas, Brutus, and Benedict Arnold endure as warnings of the darkness within the human heart. History's greatest upheavals often begin with a whisper, a letter, or a broken promise. These tales are not just relics, they are lessons for our own time. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history's most infamous betrayals. If you found these stories compelling, please like and subscribe for more explorations of our world's hidden histories.